We received a number of great questions, Ask Arne questions from SparkAction, and I want to try and answer about 4 or 5 of them. The first one had to do with the importance of libraries and librarians. And making sure students have access across the country is hugely important, not just to libraries of books, obviously, but libraries of great computers and digital content. This is not something we can mandate or require, but providing funding, using the bully pulpit, encouraging schools to take this very, very seriously, and to provide access not just during the school day, but before school, after school, everything we can do to support that. We are absolutely committed to doing that. The second question is a really important one, almost a philosophical one, asking about how do we really instill in young children a love of learning. And to me, that's maybe about the most important thing we can do. My wife and I have 2 young children, a 3rd grader and a 1st grader. And I think it's so important that a love of learning, a love of reading, be just a huge part of what's instilled in them every single day. And I'm convinced if we do that well, all the test scores, all the graduation rates will take care of themselves. If we don't do that well, we run into problems. One of the biggest complaints I've heard consistently across the country is about a narrowing of the curriculum. And so we want to do everything we can to support what we're calling a world-class, well-rounded education, putting $1 billion behind that in our FY12 budget. And want to make sure children, not just in high school, but from the earliest grades, have access to, yes, to reading and to math, but to science and social studies and foreign languages and dance and drama and art and music and PE. And I think all those things help to instill in children a lifelong love of learning. If we want our students to be successful academically, if we want them to dream big dreams and think about AP classes in high school and think about going to college, there's a series of fundamental foundational things we have to do, and at the heart of that is making sure our children are safe. And where children are scared, when they're living in fear, when they're worried about violence, be that to and from school, during the school day, in class, in the hallways at recess, it is very, very hard, if not impossible, for students to concentrate on academic success if they're worried about devastating levels of violence at school or in the community. And so we all have to work together to create an environment in which students are free of fear, not being bullied. We've been working very closely with the Department of Justice with 6 cities who have come up with action plans to address this across a number of different agencies. That's the only way this is going to work. It's not something that teachers can begin to do by themselves or schools can do by themselves, but working with parents, working with the community, working with the police, working with the parks, working with faith-based and nonprofit institutions, coming together to create an environment in which students can, again, really be thinking about AP biology and chemistry and physics. That's what we want. Our Promised Neighborhoods initiative is designed to do exactly that, to try and work in some of our most distressed communities and have that entire community come together behind students and behind academic achievement. Those of you that follow education closely know it's actually pretty interesting. The federal government only provides about 10% of resources to any district. About half the money comes from the state, and about 40% comes at the local level. Sometimes the state and local money works in very equitable ways, and other times it doesn't. There are great disparities there. And when I ran the Chicago Public Schools, unfortunately, we were dramatically underfunded relative to wealthier suburbs where there was more property taxes available just a couple miles north of us, and our students that I worked with felt that impact every single day. So we're going to do everything we can to work through the issues of equity and excellence. In fact, under Rustin Ali's extraordinary leadership from the Office of Civil Rights, we've launched a national commission called exactly that, the Equity and Excellence Commission, trying to understand best practices, trying to understand where the challenges are, and I'm looking forward to a very, very thoughtful and robust debate coming from the report that the Commission will be issuing. So hugely important issues. We have to make sure every single child in this country has a chance to have a world-class education. And unfortunately, in too many places around the country today, that's simply not the case. There's a question about charter schools and traditional schools and alternative licensing programs for teachers versus traditional programs. And I always say I think these are all false debates. What we need in this country are just more good schools, be they traditional schools, be they charter schools, be they IB schools or magnet schools, whatever it might be. We just need more great schools in this country. We just need more great teachers. And whatever form or fashion that takes, we should support it. Where schools of any type are part of the problem, we need to challenge that status quo. But my goal is really simple. We want to have every school in this country, all 95,000 schools, be a great, great school. We want to have a tremendous teacher in every single classroom. We want to support those great teachers doing the hard work they're doing every single day, often in very challenging circumstances, to change, to transform students' lives. And we have to work together to make sure that every single school is a great school and every teacher in the classroom is a great teacher, and those great teachers are getting the support they need. These are all false debates, one versus the other, and in fact loses the real point. We only have one common enemy, and a common enemy for all of us is academic failure.